video, we're going to practice reallocating expenses using classes. Now, the exercise we're going to follow along with is over here on the right-hand side, and this is pulled from our Advanced Level ProAdvisor Certification course. If you would like more information about that course after we go through the exercise, be sure to click on the link below in the description. Let's dive right in and see what our scenario is going to be today. Craig wants to use classes to track residential versus commercial jobs. When he first buys soil, he doesn't know which it's going to be for, so he will just use a class called to be allocated. At the end of each month, once he knows where it has gone, he will go back and make the adjustment. This month, he bought $300 of soil for various landscaping jobs. He now sees that about 2/3 of that was commercial and about 1/3 of it was residential. So how would you reallocate this for him? Let's go ahead and find out. Now, to do this exercise, you need to be in the sample company. If you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link below in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left-hand side. This is where we will work for our exercise. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to do is turn on class tracking. So to do that, we need to click on the gear icon and then select account and settings. The gear icon is on the top right corner of the sample company. Go ahead and click on that. And then under your company, go ahead and select account and settings. Now to turn on this class tracking, we need to go to the Advanced tab. So let's go ahead and click on that. It is on the left-hand side on the bottom of that list. We need to go into the Categories section, which is the 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. Go ahead and click anywhere in the Categories section to make it editable. And then we need to click on the toggle next to Track Classes. Track Classes is the top one right here, so go ahead and click on that to turn green or to have it turn green, which indicates that it is turned on. Now, you need to make sure that the drop down says 1 to each row in transaction before we save. That is right here. It should already be selected. Just make sure that it is. It'll be important for this exercise. So everything is looking good here. All you need to do is click on the green Save button. Once you do, you will see that Track Classes is turned on. So we are all done with this. Go ahead and click on the green Done button down here on the bottom right corner. Next, you will need to set up the classes. So to do that, we're going to click on the gear icon again and then select all lists. The gear icon, once again, click on that. Under lists, you're going to select all lists. Once all the lists appear, we are going to click on classes. That is on the middle of the second column, so go ahead and click on that once you find it. You will notice that once you do that, there are no classes that are currently set up, so we need to go ahead and do that now. We need to do it for residential, commercial, and then to be allocated. So to do this, we need to first click on the green New button that is right here. Go ahead and click on that. You'll get this little pop-up for the class information. All we need to do is enter the name. So click into the name field and then go ahead and type residential. Once you do that, you can click on the green Save button. We are not going to click on this box next to is a subclass because it's not a subclass, it's its own class. So do not click on that checkbox. All you need to do is click on the name or click into the name field, type in residential, and then click on the green Save button. Now you will see that one has been created for us. We need to do the same for commercial. So again, click on that new button, the green button right there. Go ahead and click on that. When the pop-up appears, go ahead and click into the name field, and then you're going to type commercial. And once you do that, go ahead and click on the green Save button. And that one has been created. And now we need to do one more for to be allocated. Once again, click on that green new button. In the name field, we're going to click into it and then type to be allocated. Once you have done that, go ahead and click on the green Save button. And there we go. We have now our 3 classes, commercial, residential, and to be allocated. They have all been created. Next, we're going to create the expense showing that Craig gets all this soil from Tanya's nursery. Set it up for $300, indicating to be allocated in the class field. Remember, he is entering it this way until the end of the month when he knows how to break it up between commercial versus residential. So to create that expense, we need to click on the plus new button and then select expense. The plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Go ahead and click on that. Under vendors, go ahead and select expense. And then we need to fill it out when it comes up. So in the payee field, we're going to select Tanya's nursery. So click into that payee field. You can go ahead and start typing her name, or you can scroll down until you find it. Once you do, go ahead and select her name. And let's go ahead and fill out the expense. On the first line in the category field, change the current selection to plants and soil. As a note here, make sure you select the expense account under job materials. If you select the similarly named income account, you will receive an error. So right now it says job expenses, and this is just because the last time an expense was created for Tanya, it is showing what the amount was. This is a setting in accountant settings that can always be turned off. It must be turned on right now because it's showing up. The good thing is that we can always overwrite it. So go ahead and click into that category field. You can either type plants and soil or you can scroll down. I'm going to scroll just to show you where it is. So currently it says job expenses. If I scroll down just a little bit, there's job materials, and then you will see plants and soil. This is the one that we want. So go ahead and click on it once you find it. Again, it should be under job materials. In the amount field, we're going to change the current selection or current amount to 300. This is something from previous, so we're going to delete that and type 300. In the class field, we want to select to be allocated. Remember, we are going to be, this is because he doesn't know the breakdown yet of commercial versus residential, so we need to have it set up to go to this to be allocated class until we know. So click on the down arrow there and then go ahead and select to be allocated. This expense is all good. As a note here, we're not doing anything with the payment account or payment date, which you would want to make sure that these are accurate if you were doing this in real life. We're leaving it as is for this exercise, so go ahead and click on the green Save and Close button. And that expense for $300 has now been saved. All right, so let's say some time has passed and it is now the end of the month. Craig now sees that about 2/3 of the soil was for commercial and about 2/3, or excuse me, 1/3 was for residential. So let's create a new expense transaction to reflect this adjustment. The new expense transaction will reallocate these funds from the to be allocated class to the residential and commercial classes. So to do this, we need to once again click on that plus new button and then select expense. Click on the plus new button on the top left corner, and then under vendors, go ahead and select expense. Now we're going to leave the payee field blank and use a clearing account for the bank account or the payment accounts. So let's go ahead and set that up right now because if we kept it here as the checking account, it would look like it is an actual expense that is being pulled from the checking. So we are just using a clearing account to show how we are going to do this breakdown, and you'll see as we continue on the exercise how that will look. But that is why we are creating a clearing account rather than having this as a actual checking account. So let's go ahead and click on the down arrow right here in payment account and click on the plus add new button or selection. We're going to leave the account type as bank. And then in the detail type field, we're going to select checking. Click that down arrow and then select checking. And I know that this probably doesn't make sense because it's not an actual checking account, but this is the type of detail type account that we need to use for the clearing accounts. So go ahead in the name field, we're going to delete what is currently there and then type clearing. Once you have done that, everything else can be left as is. We just need to click on the green Save and Close button. And now that account has been created for us. All right, so the first thing we need to do is using the category details grid, we need to remove $300 from job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil account that was classified as to be allocated in the previous expense transaction that we just created earlier in the exercise. So to do that, on the first line in the category field, we want to select plants and soil. Once again, make sure you are clicking on the expense account, not the income account that's similarly named. So click into this category on the first line. Click the down arrow and scroll down just a little bit, not too much. These are all the expenses that are listed at the top. So we have job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil. Go ahead and select that. In the amount field, we need to type negative 300. Remember, this needs to be a negative number because we are removing this from the plants and soil account. So go ahead and click into that amount, type negative 300. And then in the class field, we need to select to be allocated. Remember, this was the $300 that was in that previous expense. So we need to indicate that it is part of that class. That's what we had in the previous expense transaction. And so we need to do the same thing here. Go ahead and click into the class field and select to be allocated. All right, so finally on the next two lines, you will need to add for the same category, that plants and soil category, 2/3 of the amount to the commercial class and 1/3 of the amount to the residential class. These need to be positive numbers because we're going to end up having a $0 transaction. So in order to do that, we are removing that $300 from this plants and soil, and then we are going to divide it in classes, that 200 and 100 for the commercial and residential respectively. So let's go ahead on the second line in the category field, select plants and soil. Once again, make sure you are clicking on the correct one, the expense account. You can click on that down arrow, scroll down until you find plants and soil. There it is. We're going to do it for commercial first. So in the amount field, go ahead and type 200. Remember, this needs to be a positive number. So type 200. And then in the class field, we're going to select commercial. Go ahead and click on that. Now on the third line in the category field, once again, we're going to click on that plants and soil. So click into it, click the down arrow and scroll down just a little bit until you find plants and soil. Once you do, go ahead and click on that to have it selected. In the amount field, we need to type 100. So when you do, you will see, if I hit the tab key over, this is now showing as a $0 expense. But before we close out of it, we need to, in the class field, select residential. Go ahead and click on that down arrow there and then select residential. And there we go. You will notice as a result, this is a $0 expense. And again, doing it this way allows you to allocate the different classes, show the breakdown of which one goes to which one without affecting the expense that we used previously for Tanya, showing the purchase of all of the soil. So all we need to do now is just click on Save and Close. That's the green button down here on the bottom right corner. Go ahead and click on that, and now that expense has been saved, that $0 one, showing the reallocation of the expenses using the residential versus the commercial class. Now, if you like this exercise and you want to do more like it, or if you would like more information about that advanced level ProAdvisor certification course, be sure to click on the link below in the description, and I will see you in the next exercise.